Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The threshold that my partner just passed is one you feel. It's the same voice. But the energy, for those who can feel it, is vastly different. This threshold opens a door. A door in what you have called the field, where there is no time, there is no space, there is not a place. It just is. That's with every single one of you, and that is where I am. Some say the field is the other side of the veil. Some say the field is a magic place where your soul can go and relax for a little while before it comes back. Some say it's God. But all of these descriptions are correct. Because in this hero's journey that my partner has described, each of you has that place. And so in this door that has been opened through intent and through something that is happening in this room, a togetherness, again, a confluence of energy, something that can be measured, a coherence of thought and heart is starting to meld where it's safe. It's safe for a few minutes. This won't last long. It's just safe. Some of you have constructed a box around your belief that says, bring on the scientists, get on with this. And I know who you are. And I'll tell you, there is just as much love for you as any other human on this planet. There are so many angelic, if you want to call them, beautiful soul energies around you as anyone, because you have the free choice to examine these things the way you want. And some of you will say, well, I don't want to go to the full esoteric, and you don't have to. But let me ask you this. What if what I'm going to tell you next starts to ring true? What would it hurt to open the box for just a moment and listen and weigh and examine? Weigh it in logic if you wish. As much logic as you want. Get ready, because you're going to need it. Because what I'm about to tell you, I also told about 300 people earlier. A few days ago, there was a handshake. And that handshake was with the President of the United States and the leader of North Korea. And this handshake was something that was far from expected a few months ago. In fact, it's beyond all odds that this would take place. And I want to tell you about it, because you're going to start to understand the mechanics of prediction. I'm a channeler, my partner says. I channel Kryon, my partner says. But what my partner really has learned to do is to put himself away and dip into the field with a purity so he can see, contact that which is me, and tell you what's there. Predictions are not magic. Predictions are not future fortune telling. You can't do that, dear ones, because human nature has free choice. So what is it? I want to take you back to March 2012, Dallas, Texas. The channelings that I refer to now are documented, printed, available, ready for you to read and find. And some of you know I talked about two things in that channeling that would seem to be predictions, but they weren't. They were potentials based upon what was already in the field. I told you you would have a new pope soon. 13 months later, you got one. We told you that pope would be a wild card in that it was unexpected. The old pope didn't even die, if you've noticed. Something happened which was beyond expectation, and I told you it would. That's not predicting, dear ones, because that was in the field. It was already something in progress with a potential. Did you hear that? In progress with a potential. In progress with a potential. The second thing I told you about was this. There's a 50% chance that the new leader of South Korea, the son, would not follow in his father's footsteps. And I said there was a 50% chance, and I started itemizing the reasoning why this might make sense, even to the Korean leader. And then I told you it's a beginning, and it would take a long time if it manifested. I told you the problems would be in his advisor and his father's family. This will all come out someday because of the handshake. Now, was this a prediction when I said, here is what might happen? I said he would tell those who had the machine guns in the DMZ zone to drop them because he would be unifying the two Koreas. That there would be no nukes. And the beginning of abundance for his people, which would then give him what he always wanted, which was accolades, instead of being poor. That's what I said. And I said, watch for it, but don't be anxious. I talked about it in 2013. I talked about it 5 more times. I talked about it in 2017. In August in 2017, I itemized my advice for him. Point by point, the advice that I said followed the potentials that were there and had been since 2012, and those were the very points in the handshake. Now you tell me what happened. Kryon, you're going to be famous because you predicted. Dear ones, all I did was lock into a field that is being shown to you today how to lock into. And all I did was to show you the potentials that were already there. In other words, he was thinking about it. In other words, he was talking to others behind the scene about it. And no matter what his advisors told him, right up to the brink of sending his missiles, he was always thinking that there might be another way. This has been in progress since his father died. And therefore, it was in the field, not a given, dear ones. Now, I want to show you the bias of this amazing potential which has started to be manifested. Here's the bias. I want you to start reading the reactions of the press. I want you to read the reactions even to the South Koreans. They said, well, we know North Korea, and that's never going to happen. Because we know who they are. We know their nature. Because in the past, they never performed what they said. So it's a joke. That is a quote from a South Korean. It's a joke. The press, well, they haven't said, isn't this a beautiful beginning? Look at this amazing thing against all odds. No, the press is saying, maybe yes, maybe no, well, we'll see. Have you noticed? And it continues and it continues, and all it shows you is the monstrous bias of the dark side that wants to pull anything good back to what it knows that isn't. And you get to see it in spades. And the difference is whether you cognize what they're saying. The difference on this hero's journey, if you and your friends say, let them spin the dark all they want to, but we got to see something against all odds, and it was in the field. In the field. So let me tell you what else is in the field. 2 things. And they're going to be things that are there now. Potentials. And we've told you before, and you might say, well, Kryon, you said that before. Yeah, well, when it happens, just like the handshake, you might believe a little more. There will come a time when Big Pharma will fall over because of the consciousness of the public. The consciousness begins to have respect for each other, so that abuse of women will no longer be tolerated, and the things will pop out of the woodwork, and bishops and cardinals will resign, and all the things we brought today that I gave my partner to show you, all of these, why not? A consciousness that will not allow any company to keep a human being sick or let him die for money. Unconscionable. It's going to happen. The trigger, it's coming. And you will see when it does an industry in trouble. Not all pharma is this way, dear ones. Understand this. But the ones who are will fall. I want you to watch Iran. It's not like the isolation of North Korea. It's hooked to a major belief system. It's hooked to a major person with a belief system. It's tied in to the grand problem of the Middle East. And it's going to change. Watch this. It's in the field. It's being discussed. Let me close with this. The same thing I'm going to give you that I gave those few on their way to the beautiful garden a few days ago. There are things in your field for you that'll save your life. Unless you look back and say, impossible. Unless you look at them and say, well, for others, but not for me. Unless you look at them and say, well, it's never happened before, why should it happen now? And that reflects the teaching of the day. Don't let the past predict your future. What is in the field for you? What is it that you can see and imagine? Have you heard this yet? Have you heard this from other scientists, not a channeler? That the envisionment of your health goes inside and is seen by your own cellular structure. The field is there to push it forward. Do you believe in homeopathy? Do you see how it works? You have a tincture that is too small to be recognized by any part of the body, going in as a signal to the body to correct something itself. The body sees the signal and corrects it. And homeopathy is not something that is, I would say, unknown on the planet. It's everywhere. So why not consciousness homeopathy? What's the difference between putting a tincture together as a signal for healing and life extension, or consciousness that does the same? It's there. It's already been proven. It's just changing the mechanics a little. With the new energy that I have told you is here, and the amount of love that points and directs to you, that is greater than ever before because of what you're doing, old souls, you and your group, in your journey, old souls, this is doable for you. What did you come here for? Perhaps there are issues, I know who's here, that you've been working on a long time. Did you know that in the field, for you, they are already corrected? Did you know that some of the situations you're in that seem untenable, the woe is me, what am I going to do, is correctable. It's elegant if you wait, if you expect it, if you see it, if you claim it, if you cognize it. It's you. It's there. It has your name on it. But nothing's going to happen unless you rise above the fray of an old consciousness that says it can't be. Yes, it can. And with this particular group of old souls, dear ones, I tell you, you're here for one reason. You're here to hear the science of consciousness. And every single thing and every single chart and every single word that you're going to hear supports everything I just said to you. Because it isn't just spiritual. It is something you're doing with your consciousness as you touch the field, as you go to places you haven't been before, whether you like channeling or not. This works. And so we say for this weekend, until you hear from me tomorrow evening, let the science begin.